Champions in Rallycross, Porsche Cup, and a host of prominent drivers and renowned influencers all met at the starting line with their Racemore motion simulators for Round 3 of the Racemore GT World Series. Let's see some of the action that the tight and technical British track brands Hatch gave them.
Coming on to what I think will be his 8th lap here now in qualifying and his last lap for Enzo Holman. If he wants something, it has to come now, Jonas.
Yes, just to try to push everything and be careful. Do not get an off track. Do not put the wheels too far out to get these penalties.
There we go, there's the green flag, a good start for Monson. Jansson also with a good start, at least trying to keep his second position alive. He does so, a little bit wide coming out of Paddock Hill Bend, but the top two already with a little bit of a gap, and at least a bit of breathing room going into turn 2. Behind that, it's Lundell who's going to try and have to fend off Enzo Holman behind him, does so successfully. Already though, a drive-through, is that for maybe an incorrect starting position?
Yeah, last thing you want to do in such a crucial position as Lucas Sundal in the third position now, feeling Enzo Holman breathing in his neck is to get any kind of penalties in a drive-through in the first lap.
This is Sundal still trying to make his way back through the field. He's behind Lawson at the moment, the 49. Ferrari, McLaren seems to have gotten the better exit out of 5. Takes the inside into 6. Drivers giving each other enough room. Very respectful racing between the two. And Sundal picks up P8 and can now go chase after Earnholm. This is how it happened. Some traffic coming into play too. The McLaren trying his best to move out of the way. When you see these two Fords storming at your rear end. Then he had to fend off Monson on the outside at turn 2. Did so perfectly. And Jansson, like I said, for the first time since Monza race 2, is leading the race. Jansson, here we go, across the line. We're finishing already. Carl Jansson, I thought it was the last lap of the race, but Carl Jansson has won at Brands Hatch. He's back to the top step of the podium, and that's where Carl Jansson thinks he belongs, and that's where he is today. There he is. Welcome, Martin, to the broadcast. That smile is from ear to ear, and it's such a pleasure to see you on the podium. Tell us, how does it feel?
That was stress. I'm sweating. I am absolutely sweating.
Yeah, I can believe so. How was the motion in the Racemore simulator on a track that you probably know very well?
Yeah, 100%. I prefer the tracks with like inclines and declines and loads of elevation changes. Like places like Silverstone, I'm not too keen on. It's so flat, but I love like the way the car moves when you're on an off-camber corner. It makes it so much more tricky. You can feel all of that in there, which is big. I'll do another race in Brands Hatch. If we can do that again next week, I'll do it.
Next round is at Circuit of the Americas, February 9th. You can find more information at racemore.com.
Welcome to the Racemore 2025 GT World Series at Circuit of the Americas. Our American Grand Prix here tonight. For me, at least. But if you're anywhere else in the world, it's, of course, some other daytime. Very, very technical track. Legendary. A modern legendary track, I would say, with inspiration from tracks like Hockenheim, Suzuka, and other parts of the world. Super complex when it comes to different kind of technical parts on the track. We have the qualifying running now on the track. Some drivers are out to push the best lap times, as you can see. Looking for the cars at the moment here over the beautiful Texas track. And soon we will have some racing going on. Today we have a two race format. We have a short sprint race, and then we have a short qualifying afterwards, and after that we will have a little longer race as well. We have Albin Monson in the pictures at the moment. Amazing start of the season for him. 3 races done now. We are at the 4th running now, and behind him in the qualifying we have Carl Jansson. The duel between these two giants have been a very interesting fight to follow. Monson, of course, very, very used to the Assetto Corsa scene. Jansson is from another scene, but still very, very strong. Both are picking the Ford Mustang, which can be a little bit weak at this track, actually. it's strong on the straightaways, but during the cornering, especially through the S's, we will soon go through the track a little bit. So let's see if we can get a lap with Albin Monson as soon as he goes out on the straightaway here, and we'll talk you through this this track. There he comes, passing through at the moment. Let's see if we can get onboard pictures with him. Here we go, and some traffic here through the S's. It's really, really important to cut as much as you can through over the curbs here to make the S's as short as possible. Really balancing the car, but you cannot pass with all your four wheels over the white line on the inside, because then your lap will be disqualified. Over here, coasting a little bit to get the car to turn into on the right side, opening it up as much as possible. And the last right-hand corner here, super important to just pull the car to the right to open up the left one, and then go down the hill into the very, very hard hairpin that's coming up in here, and you'll brake about 100 meters before the corner. On the right-hand side here, you can see there's some orange marks. You want to avoid those because they will kill your exit speed. So now over the long straightaway here, and the corner before the long straightaways are always the most crucial ones. A little mistake will cost you 2, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour in the top speed. And you need everything of that. And into the sharp left-hander here, it's a very good place to put your car on the inside to make a overtake, but then you have the double right-hander coming off here, which is very hard to defend from the outside. So these technical parts here, you can see Albin Monson is trying to balance the car with as much stability as possible. When you go from the right to the left, it's crucial to have and especially up and down, the exchange of loads in the car, because otherwise you will get a little bit too tight or a little bit too loose when it comes off the corners. You can see he works with the steering wheel to control the car as much as he can, and then braking in uphill in the last corner here. Very good spot to try to overtake, but if you do that, you will lose your top end speed up in the hill that comes up here. Let's see if we can follow him here. It's when you have a sharp corner like this one, where you have to in an uphill as well, you can brake so much later than you actually expect, and it's so hard for you. Like in the same kind of velocity, you kind of want to pull the brakes at 200 meters or so on, but if you have an uphill, you can push that to maybe 120, 100 meters even before the corner. So it's a mental barrier that these drivers really have to challenge. And I mean, looking at coming through these S's, since everybody's running with the Racemore simulators that are motion simulators, you will get the whole feeling about twisting to the right and left through the body, which also will be challenging for these drivers when it comes to the later ends of especially the second race last night. We talked with some of the drivers actually during after the third round at Brands Hatch. They were very, very tired actually after that one. And I mean, COTA, a little bit of longer straightaways where you can have somewhat of a rest, but with all of these changes that you have in the corners, they're very hard breaking points, and there's a lot of thinking. Look at this situation here; it's very, very, very tight. Even if the track is huge per se, with its 3.4 miles and 5.5 kilometers for us, that counts in the metric system, it still gets a little bit tight when it comes to the complex corners, especially in the S's. I mean, you use the whole track when you drive here. Look at Albin here. They're using every inch of the track, even before pitting in, after a amazing setup with the qualifying. 30 seconds left. Here you see me in the bottom here, and then we have all the drivers that running with the motion rig. Some are still driving, some have finished their qualifying session here into the first race. So let's have a look at the results even to see how our drivers are doing. You see, there's different colors on all of the custom-made Racemore simulators here. Some are white, some are black, some are red, and some are even green, depending on the preferences of the drivers. We will actually look at a short interview with one of our drivers, Silver, coming up now.
Lyssna nu, välkomna!
Today, Racemore has the privilege to meet with YouTube professional content creator and car test driver Silver of 925 Motor. Check out his channel, regular tests of the newest and hottest cars. But Silver, tell us a bit what you're looking forward to with COTA on the horizon.
Well, to be fully honest, I'm actually not sure what's going to happen because I have no experience on this track and I've barely have had any chance to practice at all. But I will try to manage the best I can and to remember that this is for fun, but I'm serious in everything I do. So I really want to win because if I'm in it to win it.
Yeah, and it's in the Racemore GT Championship, we've had so many professional drivers, really skilled influencers within the motorsports community, and also some professional sim racers. So how does that prepare you in such a tight race, being somewhere maybe in the middle? I know you mentioned top 10. That would be like your ideal finish.
Yeah, it would be. And I think that the experience I have with driving cars in real life and also drive a lot on the track and do some time attack helped me a lot with this because this is the closest you get when you drive on a sim to the real life. So, I mean, I can actually tell you guys that I always bring an extra t-shirt because I'm like fully sweaty after because it's really, really hard on the body because it feels like actually driving a race car. That's as close as you can come. So yeah, I think I'm prepared enough, but we'll see about that.
It's really interesting to hear because many people are curious about why go for a Racemore simulator and not something maybe you would say at a lower price range.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take the sim racing or your actual like real life racing experience to the next level, then I believe that this is the way to go because you cannot get closer to this kind of experience to a real car than this. I've never actually had it, so this is the closest I can come, and it reminds me so much of real life. So I believe that this is the way to go.
So you mentioned already that it's very physical, that the motion mechanics in it are very tough on you. And does it also help you a bit in your career, where you are one of the most revered car journalists in the Swedish YouTube community?
Yeah, first of all, it's my first season driving this rig, and I believe that if I practice enough on the Nürburgring, which I drive in real life a lot, I will see the benefit of that this summer. So hopefully, I will get a lot of experience doing that. But I've been driving a lot of real race cars as well on the racetrack, and I can tell you that this is as close as it gets. So I think that this is a huge benefit for the one who wants to take their driving to another level. So yeah.
Final question. What do you
Yeah.
say about the Racemore community, as this is a very exclusive GT championship?
Well, I feel that it's been like very on a serious level, but still very fun to participate in, and I'm looking forward to the things to come because as I told you, have a favorite racetrack, which is the Nürburgring, and that's actually the final race of this season. And hopefully, I will put all my experience from earlier into that. So, well, I think that the whole experience with Racemore has been really fun. Definitely.
That sounds great. Best of luck today. Have a nice race, and yeah, we'll probably see you during the season.
Thank you so much. I'll prepare
Bye
myself.
bye.
Ciao.
Austin, Texas, Circuit of the Americas. Here we are, and getting ready for our first race here today, the little sprint race going on. Albin Monson, fastest here today than Circuit of the Americas. Any thoughts on that track?
Famous for than the S's after turn one. Hi, hello guys, I'm here too. The S's after turn one, and then of course the long back straight. After which we get into a bit of a Mickey Mouse section and a very long right-hander, and then two extremely quick last corners. Yeah, in this track in itself, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. When I saw the calendar, this was the one that I was like, boy, these GT3s love this track.
And we have Monson in the lead, and beside him, Carl Jonsson. And there we go away for the little warm-up lap. Albin Monson in the lead before Carl Jonsson, leading the front row here once again. And not super surprised by that. I mean, this track is a little bit special. I would think that it would favor the mid-engine cars a little bit more due to the characteristics of the track, but the Fords are looking very, very strong here today.
Yeah, you can drive it in quite hard with the front-engine cars. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at the Ford, it's quite a, as we like to call it, a brick. It's going to punch a hole in the air for all cars behind that. However, we do have three Fords at the front of the field. My question to you is, do you think we'll see any manufacturers like a Ford in the top three work together?
Very interesting question, actually, since they have a little bit of their own, let's see, characteristics, as you say, but the duel between Monson and Jonsson is so important, especially for Jonsson, is striking a little bit from underneath here, since Monson have had a little bit of an edge on him at every track that they come to, and as we've seen, Monza was the strongest race for Jonsson compared to Monza pace-wise, but it feels like Monson now knows what he's up to and how much practice he needs to put in. We see Alex Burke on a fourth position here today as well. If I believe correctly, I would say percentage-wise, he's faster in this qualifying than he was compared to, like, the gap between him and Monson is closing in a little bit, which is really nice to see for us, to see more competitors of the championship. Silver, as we saw on the interview here, at 10th position today. So running for a top 10, another shot on that one. Maybe he could advance a little bit more from that. We've seen him be quite fast in the qualifying, but a little bit stronger in the races. So we'll see when they turn up here to the green lights and how the race will progress from there. Tire wear is interesting because the S's, you build so much tire temperature through that session. Then you get these long straightaways where the tires actually cools down quite much. Running out your rear tires or front tires through the race will punish you a lot through these S's, as you see on the camera right now.
I think the front left is going to have a heck of a time on these cars, especially through that double right-hander in the last sector. Boy, do the tires ever scream for help around that corner. We're lining up currently to go racing side by side. Well, a top four would be possible, I think, for Silver if he gets his cards right. Three Fords at the front of the field at a track where we expected them to be strong. It's a very power-dependent circuit with that long back straight, the long front stretch. And let's be honest, the power really is still there. The power aspect of it is really still there, even if you go through the S's. It's quite a high-speed circuit, this. So I'm looking forward to see what these Fords are able to do. There you go. Stars and stripes. Of course, we're in the Americas, circuit of the Americas. And the Americans do love the stars and stripes, don't they?
Kind of their whole identity when it comes to shapes and colors. The big red you see over there, first corner. I was talking a little bit about that. I mean, there's so much technical stuff in this track. I mean, the uphill in the first corner that can trick you a little bit, that you need to brake earlier than you actually can do. And there we're actually on it. We see Monson in the lead, Johnson second, and Arnholm in third. The three Fords lines up actually through the S's at the moment here.
Let's see who comes out on top here today. A little bit of trouble in the background, but we're working to get it fixed. It's Monson who's leading the way ahead of Jonsson. Then it's Arnholm in P3. Those are the three Fords at the front of the field, followed by three McLarens, the 69, the first of the three. Let's see what those McLarens can do. There's contact between Monson and Jonsson, and that might be massive for the championship. I have a feeling there might also be a penalty in place post-race, but contact between the two championship rivals this early on in the season.
And we see some contact when Monson goes back on the track. There might be some issues there with an unsafe re-entry on the track, and of course Monson knows what the stakes are in here. We're going for a 12-minute race, about 5 laps to run around this long track. So already with this speed differences between him and Johnson, there's a lot of I would say mileage between Johnson and Monson right now, and it seems impossible for Monson to actually catch up with Johnson after this. So this is a recovery race early on for Monson. But question is, what will the penalty be for Carl?
I don't think we will know quite yet, but stewards will probably be on it. That's their job. And, well, what a big job this is. Two championship rivals already this early on in the season colliding. That won't do their championship rivalry any good. One thing's for sure, they'll be on the thinnest razor edge of the stewards now. And do you think that the stewards will look differently at this because they are at the top of the championship?
Could be so, because there's not too much pace and points that actually splits Johnson and Monson apart at this point, and so a little bit of an incident like this can actually be quite determining for the championship in the end. We saw Silver up on the 7th position there a little bit while falling back to the 9th, but also advancing from a 10th. Monson already up on the 7th position, fighting through the traffic here at Circuit of the Americas. Gustav Johansson is the next car in front of him, a very talented rally driver in the yellow and black Porsche there. Let's see if he can stand against him when they come down to the hairpin down here.
We'll see if he's a tarmac specialist today too. Can do it on dirt. Can he do it on the road too? We'll see. He's in the Porsche, one of the few Porsches in the field, the only Porsche that we see in the top 20. So he's for sure going to struggle down this long back straight. Porsche notoriously known to not have the best straight line speed, and we'll see that here. Look at the straight line speed of that Ford Mustang GT3. Up the inside goes Monson into 6th, and that's already a top 6 for him. Just after last lap, he spun into what was turn 11. Not on his own, with help from Jonsson, but nonetheless, already a backup to P6. I have a feeling with that gaggle of cars up ahead of him, he might just be able to get back up onto the podium. And who knows, maybe Arnold is someone to get for him too. Maybe a second place is still possible here.
Yeah, the cars in front of him lining up like a pearl necklace in there. We can see Matt Armstrong increasing his speed race by race, and Enzo Hallman and Alex Perk, the 3 cars in front of them. It's a little bit of what we could call the battle for third in the most races, but at this point, Johan Arnholm is really stepping up. I mean, we haven't seen this pace in his car and the driving yet, but I mean, it could be that he and Jonsson have been working a lot together the last couple of days to increase his speed. And as we've been into, like, this is a Ford track, of course, but it's not all the cars. Some hard work have been done here by Johan.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the McLarens in itself, I think, would be really quick especially into the hairpin of turn 11. Turn 12 will be one of the corners that they'll be quick at. And the double right-hander. That will be a corner that the McLarens will make their time. Front-engine cars will struggle a little bit, especially because all of that pressure is already on the front left tire. And I can tell you that the Fords with those front-engine cars will just be able to struggle a little bit more than, well, the McLarens will in this race, purely because that front left is going to get, well, even more destroyed throughout this race. Luckily for them, though, the race isn't this long. Only 12 minutes, shorter than we're used to seeing, but it's a longer race later on.
Looking at Matt Armstrong at the moment, I mean, the white Mustang in his rear mirrors is just getting larger and larger. And here he is on the inside, but just tries to, I believe, put some psychological pressure on Armstrong, showing him like, I have some more pace in this car. I will find my way. Oh,
contact between all three McLarens. The Mustang of Monson still trying to find a way through, and this is a roadblock of McLaren's. Quite an expensive roadblock to use, though. But yeah, I mean, Armstrong we saw at Brands Hatch last time out did an amazing job. Sadly, dropped off the podium towards the latter stages of the race. We had a chat with him afterwards, had a smile from ear to ear, and I can tell you that that smile will be just as big today. Not only because this is just great racing, but the track itself lends itself for that great racing. And he's fighting the championship protagonists. Armstrong in 5th, trying to fend off the Ford Mustang and try and attack ahead.
Yeah, looking at the here he comes. Here comes on the tries to get his spot on the inside here. We've seen Matt Armstrong, a really defensive line, and then he realizes that I got a Mustang on my inside. And side by side through the S's. It looks like they're sorting it out. And now it's Holman's turn to have this white Mustang in his rear mirrors. And we've seen how much pace there is in this Ford here today. And let's see if Holman can keep a defensive line towards Monson in this case. I mean, we've passed half time in this race as well, and if Holman, he has two choices in this position: let him by easily, lose as less time as possible, and you can see what he does here. Holds on the outside to keep Matt on the outside, and now I believe that Holman have put all his cards on that. Monson will open up an opportunity for Holman to pass Perk as well.
Yeah, I think ambulance chasing is what we call it. But look at the speed of that Ford down the straight. He's already going for it on Perk, the inside of turn 12. He makes the move stick and he's up at the P4. That's much earlier than I expected it to happen. But it's happened. Perk has dropped off the podium already. And it's now a battle between him and Holman for P4. Let's see if he can chase down the Ford ahead of him now. But the sheer speed of that V8 motor in the back of the Ford Mustang, it's wow, that was well, it just looked like he was in a different class, let's be honest.
It looks really like they're from different kind of classes here, and I mean, welcome home to the Ford country, America. Oh, some contact there.
We've seen these two battle it out before. Perk and into Holman. This is not for a podium spot anymore. It was before. Holman has to watch out that he doesn't have Matt Armstrong up his inside soon. That battling is allowing Perk now to just create a little bit of a gap. Try and maybe follow Monson to the back of the Ford ahead of him. Well, this is we're down on P17 now. This is the battle for 16th between the green McLaren up ahead. Alban Hofgrim. This is the BMW against the McLaren, both making their times on different places on the track. We've got 2 laps to go for these guys too. It's 3 minutes left only. There's a flown by.
Some cars passing through. Holmgren over the start-finish line. Let's see if we can see some late braking points here from him in the uphill. And look at that, it's underneath the wing already to the corner here. They're far out for Hjelmqvist. Needs to be defensive through the S's here. Keep that BMW off his wing. And it looks like Holtgren gets a little bit tight there through the S's. He doesn't get any downforce because he has the car in front of him there. But Hjelmqvist is losing let's say, the rhythm through the S's, which is super important here.
Yeah. If you lose that rhythm, you're far out wide, which is what we saw from the McLaren. That might open up a gap that Hultgren will look to try and capitalize on. However, there's this massive straight that he can basically also wait for, but he doesn't wait for that. And I don't think that was a planned opportunity too. I don't think he expected the McLaren ahead of him to break that early, but it did. And this opens up the opportunity now for the BMW to find his way past. It'll be the BMW with the superior straight line speed, and you have a big long straight to capitalize on that. The McLaren will have to slot in behind. He's going to fight it on the entry of the corner, but I think he's fighting a lost battle. And Hultgren goes through, but he goes too deep into turn 12. He'll have to give that position up, and I have a feeling that might have happened automatically.
Yeah, looking at what's happening in the front here, we have Albin Monson have actually passed Johan Ehrenholm, as it looks like, for second position. Carl Jansson, 1 minute left of this race. He's still in a dominant lead here after the incident with Monson. But what a recovery for Albin Monson. It's just crisscross through the field from 10th position up to second at the moment. We have Carl Jansson right here in the pictures doing some lapping. Pink car on the right there. Showing some sportsmanship. It's really, really tough through these corner combinations to find a good spot to overtake without losing any time. But the question is, what happened with Johan Ehrenholm? He's not only lost Albin, but also the whole pack of McLaren.
Yeah, there might have been some contact between him and Monson. So we'll have to maybe ask them later, but I have a feeling that he might not have gone round all by himself. He did have quite a gap though to that trio of McLarens. Here's Ehrenholm now looking at the back of Armstrong. He's quite the ways up ahead. And I was confused there for a second. I thought it showed the Porsche, and I was like, Ehrenholm wasn't in a Porsche, he was in a Ford, wasn't he? But it was Jonsson behind him that's in the Porsche. The overlay just getting a bit confused there, but here you can see him on the bottom right with that motion. I want to see him when he goes up into turn 1. Sadly we can't, we have an extra race for that, but this is the white flag already. Last lap of the race. Ehrenholm, I'm afraid for him, he's not going to get any further than 6th. But let's take a look to the front of the field where Carl Jansson will round the last corner to take what is his victory for now. But the stewards might think differently about that. 12 seconds was the gap. That might be crucial to bring that down below 10. Monson will round off the final corner soon, and we'll see what the gap is between the two. But Jansson takes the victory on the road. There's Monson round the final corner. Gap at the end, 13 seconds. 4.7 seconds behind that is Enzo Holman to find his way on to the podium. Well, some calamities in the last corner too between Perk, I think, and the pink Ferrari. Here is that. Oh, was it Perk and Enzo Holman? Did he try something with it? Matt Armstrong tries something. Here goes Armstrong up the inside. Oh, that's a bit of a late move. I don't know. Oh, and then the Ferrari gets collected in that. Really unfortunate. Had nothing to do with it. I have a feeling. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, also Ehrenholm is a little bit collected in that situation there, and of course a bold move to do a defense in that corner in that situation, and yeah, the stewards will have to have a look at that, and we need to make a sincere apology for the technical issues that we have. We have some loss of sound from the cars at the moment and the arena, and we're working really hard to get these issues back on track during this broadcast, but I hope you will have an amazing experience anyway. Just more room for our beautiful voices then.
To be honest though, to be honest, I have to say, I'm not too worried about it. As your average electric racer enjoyer, loving to watch Formula E2, Next Gen Cup, obviously. These are championships that, let's be honest, they don't make that much sound when they go past, but that's the beauty of it. You can actually hear me when you're on the grandstands. Now, I don't know if that is a positive, but there you go. I don't think it's that big of a problem. The racing is great, and that's what we've been looking at today. Here are the results. It's Jonsson ahead of Monson, and then it's Enzo Holman in P3. It was a battle to watch, let's be honest, those two at the front of the field. But at the end of the day, it's Jonsson who comes out on top. I'm looking forward to see what the next race will bring. Monson second, Holman third. That's the podium. Matt Armstrong. Well, we'll see what the stewards have to say about the incident in the last corner. I feel it was a little bit of a late move from the McLaren of Perk, but maybe the stewards will think about that differently. Ernholm in 5th, Jonsson in 6th, and then another Jonsson in 7th. Perk in 6th, Lindström in 9th, and Haidar rounding off the top 10. Mathiasen in 11th, Lognis in P12, Paulson in P13, Huoblum in P14, Jerkvist in 15th, Holgren 16th, Axelsen 17th, Pascotto, excuse me, in P18, Lipkin in 19th, and Hamade in P20. We do have someone who wouldn't be here with us today, and that is Lucas Sundal. Sadly, he is sick. I just got that message about him, so we wish him all the best for Lucas Sundal. Would have been great to have him with us here today, but sadly, sickness taking the better of him. Let's hope he can recover quickly.
Yeah, and it's the right decision to make to stand off one of the races. Health is always more important, and
what do you mean? Trashing around the circuit in a virtual race car is much more important. No, of course, I fully agree with you.
We will announce also that we have the sound back again, and yet we apologize for the inconvenience. The Racemore GT Championship will be accountable that the race broadcast will be the top-notch experience that we all want it to be. So some technical gremlins messing with us in the beginning, but now they seem to be with us. So coming up now is the second qualifying. A shorter qualifying on 10 minutes only, a little bit of a shootout actually. So you have this out lap that you need to do, and then you have a couple of laps to finish before you are...
You don't get many laps here.
No. I mean, 10 minutes of COTA. I mean, it's actually like 8 minutes on track, and if you get one lap disqualified, then you have to pass the whole track again, just to bring it up to get another shot. So don't mess up.
Over in the bottom right, drifting through the corner. I mean, that's lovely to see also on the Motion Sim 2. And yeah, Silver loves some drifting, that's for sure.
Yeah, he lands one position after the first race, so we'll see if we can pull off some more top 10s here today. Step by step, increasing the speed, following the pace increasement. Like, if you start, whenever you start this series, right, you have all the drivers and they're calibrating towards each other. Who is the fastest? How much speed am I lacking? And over time, everybody will get faster. More practicing, more drivers to race. You follow other drivers and see what they're doing into the corners and so on. And that is the beauty with this huge field that we have in the Racemore GT World Series as well. There is always someone to race for everybody, and that gives you the opportunity to increase your overall speed, your cornering, your racecraft as well. And it's so much more fun with something else, just the track itself.
Yeah, of course, hot lapping is one thing, but then actually doing the racing, your racecraft is also important. Silver with a bit of a moment going into turn 1. Once again, drifting coming out of it through the S's now. Let's see that motion in action. Bottom right is where Silver is. The action, you can see the pitch, the yaw of the car. A little bit of understeer for Silver. Makes his way through successfully, keeps it nice and tidy. Now this is always a tricky corner. You can see losing the rear end a little, trying to get it over to the right for the left-hander, and then once again here getting it over to the middle of the track for the right-hander, and then a blind apex corner to the left. Blind exit, you don't know where you're gonna get. There you are, that's the S is done for you. Down the hill now into turn 11.
of the slowest corners on the track. We go brake nice and early to the left-hander. Get it round and onto this long straight. Now, you have time to check your phone, check if your wife sent you a message on WhatsApp, check on Facebook, some Instagram updates, and by the time you've done that, you've come to the end of the straight. We'll be braking around the 150 meter mark here. Look on the right, there's the 200, there's the 150, that's where we're braking. Drop it down into first gear, take it round the left-hander, keep it in first gear, up to second, back down to first for Silver. This is usually a second gear corner in the GT3s, but Silver deciding to take that corner in second, maybe just finding a little more rotation in that first gear in his McLaren. And once again, first gear for the left-hander here. Now up through the gears. This is a tricky corner, understeer predominantly here. Left-hand side tire will be screaming for help. Silver is screaming at the car to stay at the path it wants to take, because it's trying to step out on him. At every opportunity it gets, Silver working that wheel hard. The Porsche on the outside is going to let him through. But the inside, this lap is his, he says. Goes a bit deep into the last corner though. Porsche cuts him back. That's a beautiful switchback move. Sandro not racing yet. Silver across the line. P3 for him so far.
It's you can really see the load exchanges through the corners, especially when you go up the hill and down the hills through the S's, throwing Silver around in that simulator, and also through, as you said, like he's working the steering wheel so hard off the corners just to carry as much speed as that car possibly can carry through the corners here at COTA. Because if you don't do it, if you lose just a tenth out of the corner, you will lose almost half a second on the whole straightaway. As you said, there's so much time on the long straightaways, so you really need every kilometer an hour out of the corner, because that will multiply for each 100 meter. And if you have a straightaway that's almost a kilometer, that is a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. You can see bottom right of the screen. This is a great view. A top-down view, but it's a BMW that has gone off in front of him. That will hamper his lap a little bit. Don't think it affected him too much though. Jonas, it's a tricky track to get all the corners right. You never at this track really have a perfect lap, and it really all starts in sector 1 in the S's. There's never been a time that I was like, oh boy, I couldn't have gone through one of those corners in the S's quicker than I've done already. A little bit of drifting from the car of Ernholm. He's in third at the minute, and those rear tires, well, not happy with him so far. You can see the standings on the left-hand side. Monson with a 2:04.6, Johansson with a 2:05.2, and then it's Ernholm about 3.2 seconds back on that 2:04. So Ernholm, I have a feeling, might have quite a lot of more pace in him here.
Yeah, looking at the lap times as well, we have Monson in the lead now. He's about half a second faster than Carl Jansson, and what we've been talking about that. When it comes to different tracks, this is a long track. The lap times are high, so I mean half a second on COTA, that could be like 1 or 2 or 3 tenths on a smaller track like Brands Hatch that we're coming from. So it really depends on, like, looking at the time is, of course, half a second is quite some time. But if we look at the guys running on third, fourth position, it's about 2 to 3 seconds. And I mean, if you just get a few percent better at each corner around the track, then you've earned in that time, because it takes so much time just going around this 5.5 kilometers of a racetrack. And here we have Jansson in the pictures. We will see after the race what the stewards have to say about all of the situations that been through the first race. But now we're focusing all into the second race here, and then look at the wheel differences, like the steering wheel movement. He really points out where he wants the car, like braking point, straight wheel, turns in, and then he's done with the turning, and he opens up the steering wheel to straight again, and it's more of like a planned, let's say, way of turning the wheel. But that is also a little bit of the personality of the car. Before, you can only do one thing at a time. You can either brake, you can either turn, or you can either throttle. and you can see that in the bottom right corner as well. Coasts a little bit on trail brakes a little bit there, and now steering wheel is straight and the throttle is full, there's not much going on while he's turning the steering wheel either. That's
a lot of time to find there.
Yeah,
a lot of time to find there for Johansson. He's 3.5 tenths up at the moment. Needs to find about 0.6 of a second, so these last 2 corners will be crucial for his lap time. Can he attack what is a pole position lap time from Johansson? 2:04.6 is what he needs to drive to get any quicker. 2:04.99 is what he needs across the line. He isn't quite going to get it. He's going to get closer, and he's going to get one more attempt at it. No, he isn't. He backs out of it. He's done.
That is it for Carl Johansson. 1/10 of a second, and that is nothing on COTA. And look at Alex Perk as well, have polished his lap times as well to 2.4 from somewhere north of 3 seconds. So there is some pace in the McLarens, but look at Lindström. We've got a Ferrari in the top 5 again. Ernholm not quite as fast this time around. Pitching in at... He won't, no.
No, because the time is over.
Yeah.
And his lap time isn't validated. He isn't on a quick lap anyways. I think he realizes that too. But qualifying is over. Ernholm not getting any further than 5th, and I think that'll be the story of this second race, the start of this second race at least. Because with such a short qualifying, with realistically only getting about 4 flying laps in, your lap has to be perfect. And I think we'll see a bit more of a shook-up grid than we're used to seeing here.
Yeah, I really love this 2-race format. When it comes to this, it's like one race is in one way, and now we have a different lineup for the next race. So some new drivers that weren't in the top 5 in the beginning. I mean, the whole McLaren club, if we want to call it that, we started with Ford club in the top, and then McLaren club at behind them. So we'll absolutely spice up the second race here at COTA. That will be a little bit longer. But before that, we will have a short little commercial break.
Welcome back at COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, as we are awaiting the start of the second race of this evening. We've had a short 10-minute pole shootout, and in that 10-minute pole shootout, it was Monson who took the pole position. And then Johansson, of course, who else lining up alongside him on the front row? Here we have our pole sitter, Marbles, as you can see, already laid down on the track in its fullest. That'll be something if you are overtaking that you want to stay off. Albin Monson will want to take a bit of revenge, I feel like, Jonas.
just about what happened in that last race. The gap at the end kept growing, so I feel like that Mustang, that golden Mustang in the background of Johansson, here it is, might just have a little more pace. But with Monson, well, with the bit between his teeth after what happened in race 1, I have a feeling we're going to have a cracking battle for the top 2 here.
Yeah, I don't think that Monson will leave any room for any kind of situation like that. And also, he knows that if something happens, I will be able to recover. And that confidence is a boost that is hard to compare with what Johnson has. Like, okay, I won the first race, but there was an incident. And when I finished the race, the guy that I had the incident with was finishing second. And once again, Monson is beating him in over 1 lap. So the 1 lap speed of Monson is amazing here at COTA. It will be tough for Johnson to keep him. To actually challenge him here, I believe. But I mean, look at the 3rd and 4th position as well. We have Alex Perk, solid 3rd place. He is behind those guys all the time. Last season's reigning champion, and then we have the Matt Armstrong, a little bit of the dark horse here. To be honest, he's growing for each race, getting faster and faster. Then we have Lindstrom in the Ferrari, stepping up now. Did an amazing shootout, beating both Ernholm and Enzo Hallman that were actually dropping behind a little bit. So this is a race of recovery for Enzo Hallman, I would say.
Yeah, biggest losers, I feel like, after that qualifying session are the Ford and the McLaren of Enzo Holman. Next up on the grid, we have the Porsche of Johansson. This is a bit of an outlier for me. Jonas, this is not a car that I consider really quick on this track, but, well, clearly, by him putting it up in 8th, he's done what that car needs to do. Next up is the Ferrari of Johansson, the other one, Niklas Johansson. And then in 10th, rounding off the top 10, is another McLaren. McLaren chosen aplenty in this field. It's Andreas Mattiasson with number 95 McLaren. Then, a surprise for me to see him doing this well is Silver, or to see him doing this well, to see him down in 11th, I'm supposed to say. 11th is not where I was expecting him to go. I was expecting him to at least qualify in the top 10 position, but, well, Silver, also one of those drivers who struggled a little bit maybe with the shorter qualifying format. Then in 12th, we find another Ferrari, Fredrik Loginwi, and I pronounced that more French than I did Swedish, I think. He's in 12th, the number 14 Ferrari. And we go to Huablum in the number 75 McLaren down in 13th. And number 93, the BMW of Holgren. Also the only BMW on the grid, Jonas.
Yeah, it's cool to see the BMW here as well. As you said, it's the straight line speed of the BMW is one of its strengths, but then it comes to the rotation here as well. It's quite tough to rotate the car around the corner, so it's one thing at a time. When it comes to that, and a bold move from Holtgren to go with the BMW. He sure has his reasons for his pick, but I'm just happy to see as many different cars in this championship as possible, since the drivers have to pick one car to commit to the rest for the whole season.
Yeah, and I love that guess from the BMW too. Rest of the grid is yours.
Yeah, we have Paulson here on the 15th. We're rounding up to go out on the warm-up lap. Then we have Pascoda on the 16th position, Gerdquist on 17th in the McLaren, and behind him in the Ferrari, we have 2 Ferraris side by side here. It's Fredrik Axelsson, and then we have Wilma in the pink one, Lipkin in... it's very easy to see that car.
I love that livery. I love that livery. Can we get another look of that? There you go. Look at that livery. Is that a Shih Tzu on it?
I don't know dog races really, but it's a pup there. And Hamada is finishing off the field here today in the last race, 28 minutes. So a little bit longer race now, and tire wear will play in. Seeing tire wear, comparing Monson with Johansson, I believe Monson is a little bit stronger on the tire management, so a little bit of edge to him. And looking backwards to the races that we've had coming up to COTA, Perk is also super strong when it comes to tire management. Super aggressive driver. Always keep your keep track of him in the rear with mirrors when you race him. Very entertaining to watch, but also super fast. And then we have Matt Armstrong coming up in the 4th position now. Those guys, if Lindström cannot keep up with the pace that Perk and Armstrong has, then it will be a McLaren duel, I believe, between those two. But it will also be interesting to see Arnholm. I mean, he was really strong, looking very strong, at least in the beginning of the first race, like the first 6 minutes, and we'll see how he goes and manages the longer race and the tire management thingy, because putting the car fast one lap, that is one thing, but taking care of the car over time is something different. I mean, it could be that you're a bit slower in the beginning and let cars actually pass you to be faster the last 5 or 6 minutes. But the question is, how much time do you dare to sacrifice to keep to get the upper hand when in the end of the race? Sometimes you sacrifice too much and you can't really catch up, and sometimes or most often, I would say, for most drivers, is to cook your tires in the beginning and then you have nothing left to it after the end game. So.
Yeah, it is a tricky balance, and something that you can get. Let's be honest, you can get it wrong very easily, but it's very difficult to get it right. The good thing is, you know that the race is 28 minutes long, so you can kind of wear your tires to that distance. For example, if you don't quite know yet how many laps you're going to run, for, let's say, example, in a longer race, in a 10 or 12 hour or 24-hour race, you're just doing it by stints. But that's not something that these drivers have to take into account. We're going to line up side by side coming out of the triple right-hander. Something else that I also want to point out with Lucas Sundal not being here is the fact that only your 7 best results will count out of the 11 total races that we will do. So only your 7 best results will count. So if you do have any bad results, like Monson had there, or for example that Jonsson had in the earlier round in Italy, the first round of the season, it's not that bad. That race, if you just keep continuing to perform, will just not count, because it is one of your worst results. Albin Monson gets the field ahead of Jonsson at the front row of the grid. Keep an eye on Perk and Armstrong on the second row, and Lindström and Ramon on the third row of the grid too. We're awaiting those red lights to go green. There's the green flag. A good start this time round from Monson. Jonsson, though, already looking round the outside of Monson into turn 1. Monson will push him out wide. He'll tell him, after what you've done to me in the last race, I'm not giving you the room. However, he does. Monson being very nice to Jonsson. These two are going to go side by side through the SS, lads. It's a 28-minute race. You don't decide it on lap 1. Jonsson says, I do. Happen to P1 he goes.
Amazing racing here in the entrance of the second race here tonight. I mean, side by side through the SS. That is really horns out, challenging your opponent not only on the track but also mentally. One small mistake, one small misconception between the drivers, as we saw in the first race, can cost both of them the whole race here, the whole race evening. So it's Jonsson holding out on the outside, manages to get that position. Monson is showing Jonsson some respect, but also if Monson doesn't show him that respect, he risks contact, and he knows what the price to pay for that contact as well. Monson here letting Jonsson pass after a couple of in the end of the S's, saving some tire for both of them, knowing also that Monson had the upper hand coming on the inside through most of these corners, and Jonsson had to push a little bit more. Jonsson's tire temperature will be higher in the beginning than Monson's, and that is also strategical thinking here, because if you overdrive your tires early. If you push the temperature up too high in the first 2-3 laps, you're never coming back. You're never going to get that back. You really need to pull off the pace so much to get the tires back in the right temperature. So this could actually be Johnson challenging Monson. This was his chance to challenge him. He took that chance, he won that battle, but Monson is looking through like, okay, I lost this battle, but I will win the war. It's a long race to run.
Moment for Enzo Holman. There might have been some contact on the exit there too. You saw that car jitter for a second. I think there was contact between Holman and Ernholm behind him. The Ford pressurizing the Swedish driver. And Armstrong ahead of him took a very defensive line. I was actually surprised to see Armstrong defend that hard, since Enzo wasn't really close enough to really go for a move. But Armstrong defending the inside, and it paid off. Enzo couldn't go for a move and actually got a little bit loose on the exit. Here's Ernholm 2/10 behind those two. You could see that the McLaren just much better through those S's. Ernholm struggling a little bit, Armstrong having to go defensive onto the straight. This could be the chance for Ernholm to get on the back of Enzo Holman. Enzo Holman with a great exit, sets Armstrong up perfectly. And I have a feeling Armstrong is fighting a lost battle here. The McLaren's up ahead, that's where the fight is between Holman and Armstrong. Holman getting closer to the rear wing of the McLaren of Armstrong, faking him to go to the outside, looking to the inside. Enzo Holman gets through. Does he get the car stopped? Yes, he does. The switch back though from Armstrong. This is great battling between these two. Holman just a little deep into the corner, but that pays off in the end. Once again, Armstrong trying to get the better traction out of the corner, but the rear end of that McLaren just a little too loose for Armstrong his liking, getting really close to the rear end of Enzo.
Trying to stop him from going all the way out on the outside there to like interfere with this racing line and racing momentum. Fails to do that, but look at the pressure he's putting on him.
If you keep doing that and over time, Armstrong diving back up the inside after Enzo got past. He isn't done with this battle quite yet. 2:10 separates the two at the front of the field. The gap is a second. So this, the most exciting battle, apart from the two Janssons fighting in the background too. That's for P8. That's a big send from Matt Armstrong, baking just a little too late. And he's going to pay the price for that. Battle opens up. Chance for Ernholm to get closer to the 94.
Looks like Ernholm have been racing his vision a little bit, looking at the cars in front of him. There have been 4, 5, 6 close calls between the two drivers where they actually could have. Oh, whoa! That's really, really close between Silver there and Pablo.
Just really quickly here, Jonas. I think into turn 1, Jansson in the Porsche got past the Jansson in the Ferrari.
Looks like that as well, yes. And close racing at a lot of parts of the track at the moment. It really feels like they needed that little bit of a warm-up in race 1. And you can especially see some drivers have their strengths in being quick and be strong in the first race of the day, but also when it comes to the second one, some have been trying out some things and also found a couple of tenths around the track. But look at this here.
Extremely defensive line from Silver there.
He have to as well, because he probably realized that he didn't get the exit speed that he needed, and with these long straightaways and also the draft behind them, I mean, that big wing is pulling a lot of air, so it's contact.
Oh, Silver has gone round, and that's not on his own. Johan Schreblum is the offender there. Here we're gonna get another look at it off board. Yeah, just a little too quick into that. Oh, and a second hit for Silver too. Couldn't really go anywhere. It was in the middle of the racing line and the BMW just collecting him. Johan Schreblum, I think there's a penalty waiting for you.
Not very optimal for any one of them. Of course, unfair for Silver in that situation, and we'll see what the judges have to say about that. We have Andreas Mathiasson here at 9th position. 2 spots behind his teammate Gustav Johansson. Johansson, who drives the Porsche. It's very interesting to see 2 teammates running 2 different cars, really. What don't you think that?
Yeah, I mean, as a team, you would usually say that you try and run the same car so you can look at data, you can compare racing lines, you can compare gears. Just everything is just a little better if you're in the same car. But yeah, I mean, opting to go for different manufacturers. One of the reasons I can think behind that decision is the fact that they have such different driving styles. So that might be one of the reasons that these 2 drivers have gone for different cars. Of course, both cars having the engine in roughly the same place. The difference is a different engine, different gearbox, it's a completely different make of car. But to be honest, I feel like the general driving style of both cars won't be too dissimilar.
Not too much, I would say, either. Both with GT3s, and none of them have the engine in the front, so to speak. Following Niklas Johansson here. Not too much going on there, and it's about a second between Johansson and Månsson. Looks like Månsson is the one having the fastest lap at the moment. But 3 laps raced, about 20 minutes left of this race. A lot will happen.
And a lot already has happened. To be honest, I'm going to be honest here with you. It feels like this race is shorter with the way these guys are racing than the last race was. Felt like in race 1 they were just feeling out, just trying different things on where they could attack, the spaces they had. And this race, it really feels like they figured that out as the Ferrari rides the curbs hard, and the McLaren will take that position away from Johansson. So Mathiasson up into 8th place now. Ferrari looking to come back at him into turn 1. McLaren a little bit of a more defensive line, turning it a little early. That will make the rear go loose on exit. That's where all the weight is. As soon as you drop down that hill, all the weight goes to the front. The rear becomes light, and that's what we just saw there with Andreas Mathiasson. But managing to keep that car pointing in the right direction, and well, roughly can count or can count down the laps now until he catches up to his teammate up ahead of him.
That's with the mid-engine placement in these cars, you can get kind of a snap loose that you cannot really save in that sense. If you get the back end or the rear end of the car doesn't really get snap loose in the same way in front mounted engine cars, so to speak. You will feel the oversteer coming a little bit before it actually snaps off, even if it comes very hard to it. But in a mid-mounted engine design, it really just snaps, and you're a passenger from that oversteer when it comes. So you really have to lift off. See if we can see a overtake here.
Once again, late braking from Yazan Hamade. Oh, and even later braking from the Ferrari, touching the curb on the apex. And that, okay, hello. That just unsettles the car, but then Yazan Hamade decides to, well, not take that Ferrari into account at all. Here you go. Hamade, excuse me. There was a Ferrari in your way, and you could clearly see him.
And feeling Lindström there. Aggressive move, obviously, and T-boning Hamade pretty much, I would say. And of course, emotions runs high when stuff like that happens, and the fuse is already blown in that sense. So a little bit of contact there, but the cars are vulnerable as well, so you don't want too much contact with other cars as well, because you will damage your own car in your own pace, even though you've lost a couple of seconds from an incident like that. And Hamada currently running 14th. There's a lot of cars in front of him, 13 of them, but there's also a lot of cars behind him, so each position is still important for him looking at the championship, because like a 14th position still is points. It's not that did not finish, did not start, did not qualify. So every point counts. And
This is Fredrik Axelsson, I think, who's in the pits after that incident between him and Hamada. Was it Lindström? Are these liveries just looking too similar?
It was Lindström. It was the number 48 car in that situation. Axelsson has some other issue. Could be a stop-go penalty. Could be a DNP, a disqualification. Not sure from the point where we sit at the moment. But what we can see from our position is Enzo Hallman closing in on Alex Perk. Hallman have been doing a recovery race here and have been doing it good, I would say, passing on and Armstrong, and now fighting his way maybe to a podium today.
He has already taken one, remember that. In the first race, Enzo Hallman ended up third on the podium. Well, can he do it all over again? A little bit wide, a little bit slow through the mid-corner. And this will open up the opportunity for Enzo Hallman. What can he do? Looks to the inside of turn 1. Going up the hill, an elevation of about 120, 122 meters to be exact, that you go up there. And that's a lot in height, I can tell you that much. Enzo Hallman up onto the podium, talking about heights. He's gone up a place too.
You look at Alex Perk here. He's showing his car in the right mirror, the middle mirror, the left mirror, back to the right mirror. I am behind you. I am everywhere. So if you open up, if you do, that was
or cone.
Yeah. Lap disqualified. All four wheels of the black asphalt here on. Circuit of the
Off the racing surface, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. So it's but you can also see that looking at Perk's lines, as soon as Hallman was trying to challenge him, he was really putting minimum tire on the track that is legal to get these extra like hundreds of a seconds when going into the fight with Hallman. But overall, looks like Hallman isn't doing these small mistakes that Perk is doing, giving him the upper hand.
We have some information about the incident between Silver and Trublum, who's in 10th and in 12th at the minute. It is a 2-place grid penalty after the race. So for next race, this will be the race when we go to Australia at Mount Panorama. It will be a 2-place grid penalty for car 75. So that's not ideal, let's be honest. And then it's also Lindström. We have an incident report on that too. It's a 1-place grid penalty for Lindström there. Not quite sure if they haven't looked at the incident after that, the rejoin that Hamada did into the Ferrari. But Lindström with a 1-place grid penalty for next race.
Yeah, it's good to get some clarification on that early, so all the drivers know what will happen if you are a little bit naughty on the track. Looking at Monson at the moment, he was running about 1 second behind Carl Jonsson for the first half of this race. Now only 4/10 behind. Looks like he've upped the tempo a little bit, or Jonsson might have been slowing down a little bit. I mean, the cars are losing fuel for each lap. They're getting lighter, which means that they're getting faster, but they're also wearing out the tires, which means that they're going a little bit slower. So usually those factors are
pushed too early.
I believe so. I actually believe that is the case. That he pushed a little bit too early or a little bit too much, giving Monson the opportunity to just sit back, see how fast do I need to push. Because sometimes you can actually control the race from second position, because if Monson is pushing a little bit too much sometimes, Jonsson has to adapt to that. Jonsson will never give up the first position. But that could also be what Monson is doing now. He's pushing a little bit to trigger Jonsson to cook his tires a little bit. So it could be a mental game, or what we see now is Monson having so much better tire than Jonsson has. It could also be Jonsson pulling off the tempo a little bit to save some tires for the late game. 12 minutes left of the race, 11 and 20 seconds. We're closing into these 5-6 last laps here, and it will be lappings of cars as well. We saw it in the first race, but we're closing in for the leaders to lap some cars here as well, even though the track is huge.
Oh, that's a late dive from Silver! And he has another incident. This time, I have a feeling it was on him instead of the other car.
Some proper dive bombing there. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. In that situation, there we see two losers coming out of the corner because I mean there is an incident, and as the car in front, you can always watch your rear mirrors and avoid that kind of situation. But you shouldn't be put in that situation in the first place by the driver behind you. Sovietki is now in the McLaren, running at 18th position. Last lap, 2:24.95. So there's some more time improvement. There's room for more time improvement there. But still managing to go across the racetrack quite fast without any issues. He's in a little bit of a no man's land there with Vilma behind him and Pascota in front of him.
Yeah, Twist doing a good job so far. Oh, he comes into pit lane. This is an interesting one. This is not what you expect, especially in a race like this. You shouldn't have to pit. But
No.
Twist is pitting in the McLaren. I just want to say that I was misinformed by race control. The grid penalties, they will count for this race. So that means that the 75 will get will basically get demoted 2 places after the incident that it had. And the 48 of Lindström will get dropped 1 place. Hamade with a drive-through penalty. That might be for track limits. Oh, and Hamade decides to park it, I think. Did Hamade just decide to park? Yeah, he decided to park it on the edge of the track. Hamade was done with it. He saw that drive-through penalty and he was like, yeah, I ain't having no more of it.
No.
So, out of the race he goes.
Rough day for Hamada today. Losing these points that we talked about could come in handy, but also proves that if you just holds on through the race, you will get some points. You will do some improvements there. So it's looking at Vilma, for example, not the fastest lap times, but getting better and better for each race going on. Of course, it's fun to race the track and feel the realism in these simulators.
Can we get an off-board look of this car? That's my question, because I have a sneaking suspicion just from this set. Yeah, see? That's the 488.
Yeah.
That's not the 296, that's the 488. So she's taken the older iteration of the Ferrari, not the new 296 GT3. She's taken the 488 GT3. In my eyes, this will always be the Ferrari GT3 to be in. Sounds so much better than the vacuum cleaner they've produced now. However, in the spirit of racing, it is just better to be the 296. It is just in the basis a quicker car, and I can still remember Frickadelli Racing changing a whole rear end of the of the 296 during a 24-hour race at the Nordschleife. I mean, that in itself, doing that within 1.5 minutes, proves that car just has a build. It's just a little better over the 488. The 488 just holds some memories in my heart.
The 488 is a beautiful car. Masterpiece from Ferrari, in my opinion. Nice to see it as well. It might be a little bit damage to the balance of performance here. That could also be a reason. But looking at Jova Pascota here from Racemore themselves, seems like he enjoys the track really a lot. You see, really feel the motion and crossing the S's there. Also the braking zone, you get the load exchange when you turn the wheel and so on. At this point of the race, like you're in no man's land. You have a free track in front of you. just an open road for you to conquer in this sense. It's just trying to hit your marks, do the best that you can. Don't over push the tires. Don't under push it either. It's like and just compare your lap times. Make sure that they are as close as they can. Some tenths of your personal best, since you don't have the freshest tires. But also try to learn something new about the track. Matt Armstrong here in the pictures. Sun is no longer shining behind him as they were when we started the broadcast. Going, I would say, like close for a podium position, running 6th now, but I mean the pace is there. The racecraft is there as well. Maybe not at this track, but looking at the season overall.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's all you need to care about, really. It's a season, it's a championship. It doesn't matter where you end up or if you finish first today. Of course, it's great to add to your win tally, but I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day because it just matters where you end up in the championship. Everybody's going to forget that you won round 1 if you end up lost in the championship anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one race heroes, they are some of them, including myself. We have Gustav Johansson here in the pictures, leading the VG Racing crowd at the moment with the Porsche. We saw Wilma in the Ferrari before, same team as him. Currently no cars in front of him. We might see some when we come out of the main chute here, and yeah, something is lurking into corner 1 up there. But this is still like this mental test. It's like, okay, we've got 4 minutes left of the race. I need to hit my points, bring the points home. See there the apex and the exit point, and also like the turning points when it comes into the SS here. Amazing cornering. Feels like he's leaning a lot in the seat that he's in currently, and you can also see how the color of the track have really darkened in these spots in the SS, and that is also where you build the temperature in the tires. Looking at the 2 leaders of the race here. There's not much between these drivers, Dan.
No, there isn't much between them at all. It's Monson this time on the attack against Johansson with only 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. This is, if you want to pounce, you have about 2 laps left to do it, Monson, to keep your championship position alive. At the minute, if Johansson would go ahead of Monson or stay ahead of Johansson. Jeez, I can't get my words out. If Johansson stays ahead of Monson, he takes first place in the championship. There you go, got it out eventually.
Looking at those,
I just want to say one more thing before we go to this battle again. There is a penalty for the 777, so silver, with, well, almost about the same incident he had with Johan Sjöblom about a lap or 3 before that. But this time it's the other way around, and that means that silver now has a 2-place deduction later on at the end of this race. So that means that the battle for 11th and 12th is a genuine battle between those 2. Whoever finishes ahead on the road will finish ahead of the other one in the race 2.
A lot of penalties here today, a lot of incidents, a lot of tough racing, a lot of entertainment running around here. 2 minutes left, Johansson versus Monson. No margin at all between those drivers. And we have some lap cars in front of them as well. That
is a blessing.
That is a blessing for us that likes the entertainment as well. Let's see who has the edge here then.
Johansson getting a little bit of a slipstream from that Ferrari up ahead, so that's a blessing for Johansson. Now he needs to hope that Ferrari gets out of the way in time and doesn't hamper his race pace too much. There's almost contact between the back marker and the leader of the race. Monson looked at that and was like, oh, please, make it happen. But it didn't. Johansson stays in the race, luckily for everyone involved. and the lap car letting them through after that quite nicely, knowing the battle that's going on around him, being very aware of what's happening around him.
Looking at the two Mustangs here coming around the inner parts of the circuit here, looks like there's a lot more stability in Jansson's car compared to Monza. It could be that Monza pushed the car to get that edge, to be able to stick the nose in and get the first position here. A little bit too much, a little bit overheated tires maybe. Now he gets the help from being in the draft, but another driver that gets the same help is Jansson, because we have the lap cars in front of him. So you want the lap cars in front of you on the straightaways, but not in the SS.
That's where he had a car in front of him now. Jansson through the SS has Monson chasing him down. The gap at the start of this lap was 0.6 of a second. If Jansson wants to take the lead of the championship, he needs to stay ahead of Monson on the road. There's no penalties between these two. These two have kept their noses clean throughout this race. They've been out in front on their own. Holman, at the moment, the other driver on the podium. Alex Burke is about 3 seconds back on him. Then Ernholm about a second back on Alex Burke. This is the battle for the lead in the race. And not only the lead of the race, but it might also be the lead in the championship. Carl Jansson into the left-hander. It's Monson who's going to try and set him up for this long straight. Once again, some traffic up ahead. It's the pink car of Wilma Lipkin. She gets out of the way nicely, taking all of the slipstream he can get. And Jansson, I think, will be safe, at least from an attack at the end of the straight here. Monson is going to have to wait, maybe try something, force something. He's braking late, that's one thing that for sure closes up that gap just a little, as we have a drive-through for Ernholm. That will probably be for track limits. That'll demote him down because he can't take that drive-through anymore. He'll get a post-race time penalty that will be roughly the same to driving through pit lane, but obviously a little worse to account for that time. And Ernholm will drop down this order quite considerably. But this has been the battle at the front of the field. Jansson has stayed ahead of Monson for the entire race, made his move at the start, and that move, well, it was the race-winning move. It's a golden car for a golden trophy. Jansson wins at the Circuit of the Americas ahead of Monson and takes the lead in the championship.
Monson really had his chance to take back that lead position, but Jansson was stronger in the long run. I was super convinced that Monson was playing the long game here, putting these cars to the last 4 or 5 laps of the race. But Jansson, aggressive at the start, got the first position through the S's in the most amazing battle I've seen on COTA so far, bringing the golden Ford home in after defending, getting some help, I would say, from the lapped cars. What was the biggest problem for him when we were at Brands Hatch? So the lapping of the cars could really help you, but could also punish you so much. And Carl Jansson have really seen both perspectives here in the last 2 races of that. So 2 victories here for Carl Jansson on track, and the 2 second places for Albin Monson. A lot smoother sailing this race though than the first one. So a very, very interesting continuation of this championship. We will take a short little commercial break and we will be back in a minute.
Welcome back. Well, what a race that was, Jonas. It's a pleasure once again to be alongside you in the booth for these races. We do have to mention, though, the penalties that were given at the end of this race. I'm going to have to look at this because I don't know these off the top of my head. There were quite a bit. So it's a 2-place grid penalty for the number 75, Johan Schöblem. He gets a 2-place demotion after the end of this race for the incident with Silver that he had at the start of the second race. Then Silver also had an incident again with Johan, and he gets a 2-place demotion for that. I think it was Silver who finished ahead on the road, so Silver will finish ahead in the standings of Schöblem 2. Then it is a 1-place grid penalty for Lindström, the 48, and that is for the incident together with Hamade. So there you go. Those are all the incidents. Only 3. We said it was quite a lot, but that's about it. We will have an interview, which is a question we were asking ourselves, with Mr. Jovan. So we're just waiting for him to join us. There we go. There he is. Hello. Welcome into the commentary booth. How are you after that long race?
I'm very tired and sweaty.
I can't believe so. Tell us, how was the race from your side?
It was very good, but I had an incident in the second race where I hit somebody who spun. So my car was a bit damaged and it was really, really hard to drive. So this track requires a lot of turning on the wheel, but it required doubly so. So it was a bit hard.
Of course, this evening, with how it's set up, you have a bit more driving to do in total, 20 more minutes of driving to do than you would do usually in a just one race, straight 30-minute race format. How is that physically on you? Did you struggle any more than what you would do usually?
No, I just got a bit more workout, so it was really good. But unfortunately, since the car was a bit damaged, I had to work a bit more. I did decent. I'm happy with it. I'm not happy in the qualifying because I spun myself 2 times, or not in the qualifying, the first race, in the sprint race. But in the second race, I think I did what I expected.
Yeah, how is the simulator for you though? How are you experiencing it so far? I mean, we're now about 4 rounds deep into this championship. Are you getting to grips with it now?
Yes, it's performing beautifully, but you do have to train a bit on these races. But the simulator is performing. It's just the driver that needs to be better.
You're obviously part of the Racemore development team.
Yes.
So you know these simulators in and out. Do you think that helps you in any way too in this championship?
Unfortunately not. The only thing that helps is more practice. But it's good to know everything what's going on with the machine, and you can get a bit leg up when you are practicing because you now learn to read all the braking curves and everything. So I'm kind of learning how to be a better driver.
Yeah, well, you must be incredibly proud, though, if you see, well, what did we have, like 21 drivers here today? You must be incredibly proud being one of the developers of the simulator to see all these drivers driving it.
Yeah, it's amazing to see this. And in one of the races, we had almost 30 drivers. So it's fantastic. This is what we are aiming for.
Yeah, great. Jonas, do you have any questions?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, like the big field that we have here in the GT World Series that you've created, and it doesn't really matter how fast you are. You always have someone to race with.
Yes,
that will also like improve you as a driver, but also like that is so much fun. I mean, as we talked about earlier, I mean, everybody racing with these simulators from you at Racemore, it is a different thing when you know that the persons that I'm racing against are working with the same material as I am. They have the same struggles. You can also like have maybe some discussions with them. It's like, okay, just getting the community in the back end as well. Talking with questions about like both the racing and the driving lines, of course, but also like the equipment itself. how do you feel that the community have been growing through doing these organized races?
I think it's just excellent to see that there's so many people are in the races, and we're of course hoping for next year. Maybe we need to have 2 race formats because we won't fit everybody in one race. But we're just amazed by the response, and also some of the people that really translate this practice into real-time track experience as well. If you well, we have a few drivers that have been driving a lot in the Racemores, and then this translates well on their on-track performance as well. And I do think that Matt, after this, is going to race his Porsche on the track as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's amazing to see these kind of machines in use as well. Johan, thank you so much. I hope to speak more with you during the season to come.
I have one more question before he
so-
goes.
Yeah.
And that is, being a developer, can you tell us about anything that's coming in the future? Anything new that will be added to the Racemore gallery? Is there anything new coming soon, or?
We're hoping for some practice aids based on AI, so that everybody who has a Racemore machine can practice better and just get better times. That's one of the things we're hoping for, but I am not going to give a timeline for that.
Sorry for putting you on the spot. Anyways, it's been
No
amazing
problem.
talking to you. Well, congratulations on the result and the all improving that you do over the championship. And hopefully we'll talk at the end of you picking up a podium.
Super, yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Great to talk to him, we must say. And, well, Jonas, let's be honest, for a developer to drive in these championships too, in what is one of the world leading simulators, he must be incredibly proud.
Yeah, I believe so. You can see the tinder in his eyes when he talks about this and what the championship and the community have been growing to, and it's I believe that, as I said, I mean, it is amazing to see these. That there is a championship for everybody using the same equipment in many ways, and also like as we've been talking about, it's some with sim racing experience, of course, some who has a very deep car interest as well, and then there are the actual like professional race car drivers and rally drivers in this championship, using this equipment to enhance their driving, and it's really interesting to see like one arena where everybody from these different groups are actually meeting up, racing each other, and have a good laugh afterwards.
I think the only thing that's left for us, Jonas, is the fact that we need to go to a LAN event. We need to get 30 of these simulators together at one place, have our whole production team there, have us there, and do a race in a physical arena where people can visit. I think that would be really cool to have. Maybe something to look forward to. Anyways, before we get too deep into this, well, there's only one person for us left to speak to, and we've spoken to him quite a couple of times on this broadcast already. It's Carl Jansson. Carl, welcome into the broadcasting booth. It's quickly an environment that you are becoming used to because of the amount of wins and podiums that you are picking up. How was COTA for you today?
It wasn't too bad. Qualifying pace was kind of bad. Race 1 was also not great. Big apologies to Albin for the incident there. Completely my fault. Race 2 was really good though. That was very fun. Kind of put it all on one card when I went around the outside in turn 1, and then also around the outside into what essentially is turn 3 into the SS. But the aero push around here is so bad, especially through the SS. So kind of put it on one card and then hoped it would work out, which it did. And then, I think we had a great battle there towards the end as well. My tires were absolutely boiling in the rear. So, had some issues getting the traction down there.
We've just seen again that move that you pulled off through the S's to get ahead of Monson. Again, an incredible move that was. How are the feelings in a simulator like this when you're pulling off a move like that? That if you do go off, you'll feel it.
Yeah, I mean, for this, I think it's kind of like driving anything because you're so in the zone. You don't really think about anything else other than the car you have next to you. Obviously, with the motion rigs moving around quite a bit, it becomes a different kind of feeling for sure. But yeah, I think you're so in the zone, you just kind of focus on the move you're at, and then yeah, that's kind of it, you know.
How was your left front tire at the end of the race? Was it screaming at you?
The left front was fine actually. It was more the rear tires, especially into the right-hander or first right-hander of the S's. If I went in a bit too hard, the rear stepped out. So I had a few times there where I almost crashed. And the same goes for the long right-hander at the end of the lap as well. Into that, had a bit of an issue with the rear stepping out there, which kind of correlates to the bad traction as well. The rears were just going off too fast. I think that's the thing when you're, because it's kind of the opposite of what I had at Brands Hatch when I was behind Albin for half the race. It seems like when you're behind someone, if you can keep with them while you're behind, you have a lot better tires, or the tires are a lot better for the end of the race. So yeah, I think if Albin passed me there, he would have been gone. So yeah, I think that's the thing. If you lead, you need to push away to get a gap. If you can't get the gap, then you need to try and conserve the tires. But obviously with the draft and everything, it's very hard to get away unless you're like a second ahead or a bit over a second.
Very nice to hear some analysis from you after the race here at COTA. I mean, Mustang obviously strong here, and very nice to see for the championship to have you up in front again. I would thank you personally for the entertainment through the S's. I mean, amazing racing. It's super fun to see you guys fighting it through there. Otherwise, I don't have too much more than to say congratulations. No. Thank you for the show. Hope to see you and talk to you more, Carl, as usual. Always a pleasure. And congratulations to the victory here.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Carl Jonsson, who now also takes the lead in the championship. It's been amazing once again to be alongside you in the booth, Jonas. This was round number 4 of the GT World Series from Racemore. I'm looking forward to more next time out. We're going down under. We're going to Bathurst. Until then, though, stay safe, and we'll see you down under. Goodbye.